Hello. Oh. Everyone
Good
ready?
evening, everyone. You good?
Ready?
I'm ready to go.
Good evening. I'm Sergeant Cook with the Anne Arundel County Police Department Media Relations. Just want to give you an update as to what occurred this evening. At approximately 9:30 this evening, officers responded to the 200 block of Federalsburg South for a shooting. Upon arrival, officers located 3 adult victims deceased and an additional victim that was transported to an area hospital. At this time, we preliminarily believe this to be a domestic related incident, and we do believe the suspect is one of the adult deceased located at the scene. As we gather information, we'll certainly update you. There is no threat to the community at this time, and I'd like to turn it over to Chief Howard.
Thank you, Sergeant Cook. Good evening, everyone. You've heard the Sergeant give you some preliminary details. We just ask for your patience. This is a dynamic scene, as you can imagine. We're still making an attempt, one, to confirm identities of everyone involved, but two, make sure that we respect the dignity of the families who've not yet been, family members who've not yet been notified. Obviously, we know that we have three people deceased and a young child who's injured. Our hearts, thoughts, and prayers go out to this family. Not only is the family at this point grieving multiple losses, but the injury of a very young child. This is domestic related. Very horrible news for everyone. Particularly the family and this community. So we ask for everyone's patience as we determine what exactly happened here. And also we ask the community for its support. I will turn this over to Mr. Pittman, our county executive, here shortly. But again, this is just a very traumatic, devastating night for this family. So please keep this family in your hearts, thoughts, and prayers. Thank you. Mr. Pittman.
Well, I just want to ask everybody to hold this family in their prayers, in the light, and this community. I want to thank all of our police officers for being out here and handling a terrible situation as best it can be handled. Our crisis intervention team was here, checking in with neighbors, talking to the family, talking to the officers. They'll be back to check in on people as well. So we will have more information when it's available.
Thank you, Mr. Pittman. All right, at this time, if you have any questions, we'll certainly.
How old is the child that was injured, and where was he or she taken?
The child was taken to an area hospital, and at this time, we're not releasing the age.
Is it a boy or a girl?
Again, all we're going to say at this time is we'd like to just keep that family in your prayers and in ours as well, and give them that opportunity for notifications to be made. So we don't want to really get into a lot of specifics about the information about the child.
Were there any other survivors in the home besides that young child?
Well, again, this is a very early on investigation, and it's an active scene. So we're going to be gathering information and trying to piece together what exactly occurred here tonight.
Does it appear that this is one family that's involved, or multiple families?
That's correct. Again, preliminarily, we believe this to be a domestic-related incident involving one family.
Is this outside or inside a home? Where did this take place?
This occurred inside of a residence in the 200 block of Federalsburg South.
Can you say any more on the child's injuries? Is the child expected to survive this?
Again, it's very early on, and they were transported to an area hospital, and At this time, that's really all we're going to
How did you find
comment.
out about this? Was there a 911 call? Did neighbors reach out?
Yes, good question. So again, a 911 call came into our dispatch, and officers responded for a shooting. That's how we initially learned of the call.
Do we have any idea the relationship between the three adults that were deceased?
At this time, we're just going to leave it at the information we have is really pushing towards a domestic-related incident. Suspect is known and also deceased at the scene, at least preliminarily, and we're still early on in the investigation.
Sergeant Cook, are you aware of what kind of weapon was used?
Again, we're really early on. A firearm was used, but other than that, we're still early on in the investigation. And as we receive that information, we'll certainly be able to update you.
Chief Alwood or County Executive, I mean, this is an incident in a number of recent incidents in this county that have involved a young person and gun violence. I mean, is there anything that you wish to say about, kind of addressing and keeping people safe from gun violence in the community?
I mean, anytime there's a shooting, obviously it raises concern for the community members. In this instance, unfortunately, it is domestic related. It did occur within a private residence. And again, we're just asking the community to rally around this family and just provide additional support to the family as we intend to with our crisis intervention team resources. Gun violence is a concern for us across the country. It would be our hope or wish that no one would resort to using a weapon against a loved one, and in this case against potentially multiple loved ones, to include a child. Like, this has to stop. This is devastating. This has to stop. A young child right now is fighting for their life. This has to stop.
Can you say that multiple guns were used?
I cannot. No, not at this time. I don't know that information. As Sergeant Cook indicated, our details right now are very limited. We're giving you what we can, and as we learn more, we'll certainly share that with you.
Do you believe the suspect took his own life?
I'm sorry?
Do you believe the suspect took his own life?
We can't confirm at this time.
You mentioned the crisis intervention team. How are those resources going to be deployed out here, either in the community or with the family, and specifically with your officers as well, who have to process something like this?
So they've been here. They've spoken with neighbors. They will be following up with the community, and they'll certainly be following up with any of our officers who may be impacted by the trauma of this incident. And certainly, the very people who we sometimes seem to forget about are the people on the other end of the line who are taking these calls for service, and hearing individuals appeal or cry for help. So our 911 call takers and our dispatchers will also be, we'll have some follow-up with our crisis intervention team with them as well.
Did someone from inside the home call 911?
We just preliminarily know that we received a call for 911. I don't have all of those granular details just yet. Any other questions? Thank you all very much.
I just
Mr.
want to
Kim.
say something in response to Danielle's question about gun violence in general and gun violence in this county. We are emerging from a pandemic. It's a public health issue, the coronavirus pandemic, and gun violence is also a public health issue. We are working in our health department on it as a public health issue, and it's a pandemic that seemed to have taken a little bit of a pause during the time when people were at home during COVID, and has been re-emerging with great force. And there have been more incidents around the country. There have been more incidents in this county. They're affecting families, they're affecting children, and we have serious work to do, and we will do it in this county.
So we thank you for coming out. That's all the information we have. Again, as we gather more information, we'll certainly try to keep you updated. Again, thank you for coming out this evening.